we are trying to accelerate their self-awareness journey. And we can't change their behavior. So all we can do is bring them insight, bring them info for them to be like, oh yeah, that is me. Or gosh, I would really like to lean more into, my generosity, right?
Yeah.
So in many ways, we need to figure out what does it take to be a strong leader and show up as a leader here at VaynerMedia?
Welcome to the Tyler Dickerhoof Show with me, your host, Tyler Dickerhoof. On today's episode, I have Claude Silver. Claude is the Chief Heart Officer at VaynerX. She has worked closely with Gary V to make Vayner what it is today. And that's my opinion. That's my thought. She didn't tell me that, but that's what I believe. She has a new book coming out called Be Yourself at Work, which gives readers a playbook to outline how to show up, stand out, and lead with heart. Claude, I am so excited to have this conversation. We were just chatting. Alex is always like, Tyler, you have to hit record. You asked me my sign. I said I'm a Cancer. We started talking about Enneagram. I said I'm an Enneagram 8. And you're like, oh, I need to do that.
Yeah, I need to do that stuff.
Why?
Because this is the second person that's told me about the Enneagram this week. So, okay, there's a pattern.
Oh, wow.
There's a pattern there. And I don't know why I didn't do it. I just figured, I don't know, I'd go with Myers-Briggs. I know who I am, whatever. But I want to do it because it's a whole different kind of science, right?
Here's what's interesting there. And as we're talking about this, you asked, about my sign. I'm like, astrology, whatever, Cancer, great, crab, I can be crabby, whatever. And the thing that I learned in talking about your book and really being yourself, for me, one of the first assessments that I ever took that unlocked everything was Clifton Strengths.
Yes.
And when I took that, I was like, oh, that's why I'm different. And, as I talk to people, I'm a sports guy. Obviously Gary's a big Jets fan. Producer Alex, huge Jets fan. I'm a painful Browns fan.
Yep.
And it was like being told for the first time ever, like I thought I was this small little wide receiver. And they're like, no, you're 6'7", 300 pounds. You need to be on the line. And I had no idea. And I'm like, oh, I can go do that.
Really? So that opened that up for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was because it was always, I think I can relate to your story because you're like, how do I fit? Where do I fit? Like, how can I use what I am? And I was always caught in that dynamic. And then it was like, Tyler, you're a learner, you're strategic, you have command, self-assurance, arranger. And it's like, yeah, I can relate to all those things. That's how I like to show up. Well, here, go use it there. That's what helped me. So I want to come back to you though.
I love that. I'm a Taurus. So we'll just top and tail that.
Okay.
That's why I was like, is that a bull behind you? And you're like, it's a cow. So I can relate.
Okay.
Coming back to me, I just did the Strengths Finder assessment this week and going and getting the coaching session next week. I sent it out to all of the SVPs, VPs, and then the people and experience team. Yeah. I think it's going to be super juicy. So stay tuned.
Why all of a sudden? Why is that?
Oh my gosh.
I'm so intrigued.
We're in this period at Vayner, this period where we've been around 16 years. We've gone through so many different iterations. We have what we think are the right leaders.
Okay.
And what does that mean? What do even the right leaders mean? So in many ways, we need to figure out what does it take to be a strong leader and show up as a leader here at VaynerMedia? And so rather than I like what he has and she has and he has, let's see if there's a consistent theme somewhere. So we all know, most of us that are at Vayner, we're there. Gary's there. I mean, we're emotionally intelligent folk, which is great. But then what does that mean? How do you show up in a room? How can you partner with clients? How do you partner with, interdepartment teams? Are you a we, not an I type of person? So that's where we are right now in this iteration of the agency.
Here's what amazes me about that is that, your book, what you've written about, what you guys have accomplished. And like you said, 16 years and are just getting there.
Just
And
getting there.
this is what I think is so empowering for somebody listening is, um, it's kind of this, you add one brick to the wall after another, and what I gather from you is you guys are trying to quantify why have we been successful and how can we either replicate that or how can we help. What I'm gathering, you're doing this, I'm just my speculation, please
Yeah,
correct me, is that you're trying to help that next generation of leader find their spot easier and faster. That's what
yes.
I take. That's my speculation.
It's both. So it's we always talk about talent. Do we have the right talent on said team? Do we have the right talent over here? It's a funny word to use in advertising, but it really is like, what does this account need? What kind of talent? Okay, so that's first and foremost. But second of all, it is absolutely to retain the high performers that are here that want to get to here. And we want to get them here. As a leader, I mean, I know we've had lived experience, not just work experience. We have lived experience. We've got a couple battle scars. I got some wrinkles
Uh-huh.
here, right?
Uh-huh.
So those folks don't yet, and they will. But we want to really give them a head start in terms of like, let's ramp up this skill with you. Let's ramp up this trait. Okay, there's a little bit over here. We can massage that one a little bit. Because we're building for the next generation, and the AI generation and all that stuff.
Yeah. Do you think it's as much the opportunity to, as I read your book and relate to your journey and story, and mine's so much different, right? I grew up on a
Sure.
farm in Ohio,
Yeah.
right? I worked in agriculture, but yet, I relate to a lot of it in the traumatic and the trauma and the difficult. As I just shared with you about, Strength Finder, what it unlocked for me. Do you think you're as much trying to help leaders, help those that you work with, that you lead, to find out who they are quicker and
Gotcha.
faster so they don't have to go through the mud pit that
Yes.
I or you went through?
So much so. So like we're trying to accelerate their self-awareness journey. And we can't change their behavior. So all we can do is bring them insight, bring them info for them to be like, oh yeah, that is me. Or gosh, I would really like to lean more into, how my generosity. Right.
Yeah.
But we need to give them somewhat of a framework or somewhat of an outline of like, just like you got your Enneagram and you were just like, yes, this is why I'm different. And it
Yeah.
matched the feeling you had inside and it allowed you to rocket ship out.
Yeah.
So I want to do that with people. I want to help them on their journey. And this is a great way of doing that by like, here's your reflection. How do you like it?
Oh, dude.
What do we want to do differently?
So one of the great things that I've learned, and you talk about the reflection, is one thing that I had to figure out. And it was actually it was either on Zoom or podcast like this. And one day somebody, I can see your book in the background and, you can read the words.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're looking at it, if it's mirrored, you can read the words. But what happened is the lady told me, it's like, hey, Tyler, your words are backwards. And
Ooh.
I think I had above me at that point in the studio, like love and faith or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, those are powerful words. You can't read them. And I was like, oh, okay. So I mirrored the screen. I'm like, oh, that guy's ugly. I don't look like that. That isn't what I look like. But I also learned so much from a leadership perspective there.
What'd you learn?
Is that's what everyone sees.
Yeah.
So when I look in the mirror and I see me and I'm like, all right, this, I'm cool with that. And then I look around, I'm like, oh, they see something different. And how do I find out what they see? Because that's what's more important than what I see.
And then how do you step into that? How do you step into that? I think like, the book was going to be called Showing Up because that's what it's about. Showing up. Right. But I put it in the subtitle because it really is like, it starts with you and the book takes you on this journey, right? It starts with you. You are the CEO of you. What does it cost you every day to not show up as you? Let's start there. And then it takes you on self-awareness. Yeah. Right.
One of the big pieces that I've had to work through is why I don't show up as me. And for me, I realized it was my insecurities.
Yeah.
It was my fears of, am I valuable? Do I have value to others? And what I learned is I created these walls to protect me.
Yep. Yep.
And I think you talk about that. You describe that in your terms, which I relate to and like appreciate. And I think what I picked up that you've done, and my producer Alex and I, who's from New Jersey, and I think he kind of knows Gary a little bit. We talked about this. Is I admire Gary tremendously, and after reading your book, oh, I see your fingerprints all over it, because the way that he has shown up with heart and become empathetic and is so consistent is someone that all of us can learn from, even if you're not an F-bomb dropper. Like, I'm not an F-bomb dropper, but
Yep.
I can appreciate how he does. And he's never changed. He doesn't do it to, hey, look at how big, bad. And no, it's just Gary being Gary.
No, he just does it.
Yeah.
That is exactly who he is. And we don't want anyone to change their stripes. Like, if you are a zebra, be a zebra. And if you want to be a cheetah, be a cheetah. You don't have to be a zebra to fit in. Fit in, it's such a myth anyway. It's just fictitious. It means nothing,
Yeah.
right? It means I want to feel like I belong somewhere. We all want to feel like we belong somewhere. And so most of the time, we feel that when we can be ourselves and not have to wear a mask. If you asked me, you said, Claude, I'm coming over. That's it. We're going out. We're going to go to a black tie dinner. I would not wear a dress. And if you asked me to wear a dress, I would say, Tyler, I just don't feel comfortable in a dress. And you'd be like, well, I really want you to wear. And I'd be like, but Tyler, that's not me.
Uh-huh.
And you'd say, oh, wow. Well, I want you to be you. So go dress how you want. Like,
Yeah.
I know that about myself.
Yeah.
Mary knows that about you. Know that. Like,
Yeah.
I see you. I mean, we just literally met, I don't know, 18 minutes ago, 16 minutes ago. And I see you as that 6'3", wide receiver. Like, I would never have seen you, and no offense to a kicker, no offense at all, but I don't look at you and go, he's a kicker,
All right.
right?
You want to know something really funny?
Oh my God, were you a kicker?
No, but I have a
No.
6'3", 200-pound son who is. And he's a really good kicker, but
I
he's
love
a
that.
wide receiver. I wish I was his 6'3". I'm,
Oh
barely 6 foot, but it's really kind of funny that you say that. But in the world of kickers, I have a place in my heart for him, obviously. But I get it. It's all good.
I'm
Y-
really
y-
like, wait, how to step into the doo-doo. Well,
no,
Claude,
no, you didn't. I
yes,
mean, I love it. It's great. Like
funny.
it's
It is
yes.
funny.
Yeah.
It is
Um,
funny.
for those obviously listening that haven't read the book yet, and after this, they're going to get the book because they should get the book.
I hope so.
How, how, what drove you to really come into a workplace where you were able to help others find themselves?
I mean, what drove me is all of the years I spent living where I didn't feel like I could be myself, and I also didn't know who I was. I was yeah, that's what it did. And I mean, I've been in the working world for a very, very long time, and there are times and places that I put armor on also, or
Yeah,
I put a shield on. The
yeah,
armor's really tough. That I just
yeah,
put a
yeah,
like a, "Meh, don't get too close. I don't wanna get too close to you, don't get too close to me." Way back then. And then when I started to emerge the butterfly does out of a
yeah.
chrysalis, I realized, oh, everyone around me is doing that. Everyone around me is doing that. Now it's very generational. I'm a Gen X. It was very generational for us.
Hmm.
No one really wanted to know what we did, after work and whatnot. And God
Yeah,
forbid if you had to go to therapy, you would never mention it. You'd just be like, I need to find a therapist who can see me on Saturday at 10 a.m. Is that possible?
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
But this generation, now we have Gen Z, we have 5 generations in the workplace, but the millennials and Gen Z are like, "This is who I am. Take it or leave it," which is amazing, and I think there needs to be and I say this with love, I think those of us that are a little bit older or have more life lived experiences, we just need to help them kinda massage that a little bit because, like,
Mhm.
take it or leave it. Gary can do that. Gary is as comfortable in his skin, and listen, it's Gary.
Yeah, yeah,
But the 27-year-old that wants to come in and drop F bombs and feel like they're Gary is not. So let's figure out who you are, right? Like, let's you don't need to match Gary to be successful here. In fact, we don't want you to match anyone. We want you to just shine as you.
I think the thing that I had to learn, that what I believe is an absolute tenet in leadership, is being vulnerably authentic.
Thank you.
And I think, as we've iterated, watching from afar and watching Gary do that, and obviously knowing, who's been guiding him the whole time along, it's kind of hard not to, appreciate what you wrote, and how he shows up in the world, because his heart shows up as much as anyone. And he also has that exterior where he could be like, take it or leave it. Right. But it's like, but then to have someone young is like, I need to be that. Like, no, 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 no.
Uh-uh. No.
No.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I cut you off, but
No, no.
so about 7, 8 years ago, I saw this pattern where a lot of young men were coming to talk to me and they were all saying, I cannot hustle as hard as Gary. I cannot hustle. I cannot work 16, 18 hours a day. And it was this pattern over about 6 months time. They were having anxiety. They were like not
Yeah.
not doing well because they were trying to be something they weren't. And I went to Gary and I said, I think we need to stop using hustle in your vocabulary.
Goodness.
I explained why. I don't think he's used the word hustle in 7 years. We've taken down every poster that might have said like hustle harder or whatever, because people were trying to emulate that. And it's like kind of almost superhuman. I mean, it's scary. If people tried to emulate you at your best, like they can't, but they can emulate themselves and they can see what it is about you that they want to take and start to absorb and start to, flourish with.
Do you know how impactful that is?
I believe I do. Yeah. I want Someone asked me the other day, "Why did you write this book?" And at the end of the day, what I can tell you is I want to eliminate shame. And I think many, many, many of us carry shame. And when we carry shame, we keep people away. We carry this I'm bad, I'm ugly, I imposter syndrome. You don't want me on your team. I'm going to fail. All of that stuff because we were told that somewhere along the line. But that it takes a lot of time, a lot of energy to remove shame. But I do believe with more empathy and tenderness and kindness and compassion, we can walk next to someone and be like, I got you. I got you. Let's do this. And that's what I wanted the book to feel like. My hand on your shoulder being like, Tyler, I got you. And guess what? You got this. I got you and you got this.
So maybe you realize it or not, when you shared the story about Gary, and having that conversation, and stripping that stuff away, um, it emotionally moved me. Like,
Yeah.
made my eyes water,
Yeah.
because I can, our world needed that. People like me, who's a few years younger, but then I look at the guys that I have the opportunity, like you, to mentor, and they need someone who isn't telling them, hey, you're not working hard enough, you need to fly around in your private jet, do all those things to actually mean something in the world.
Yeah.
No, no, I can go sit in the cheap seats of the Jets game and cheer on my team that sucks most years. I'm a Browns fan, right? Get it? And it's like, and that's great. That's me being me and not trying to prove that I'm better than. And
Yeah.
we need that example. And so, me hearing that, and seeing that and recognizing it from the outside.
I love that.
Absolutely.
That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Here's the other thing that and when I got to know about you and reading your book, and I knew we're going to relate so well, is what you described about putting your hand on someone's shoulder. I define empathy. This is my definition, because it was so hard for me to find a definition that I could relate to. Because putting your feet in someone else's shoes does not work. Like,
Doesn't work for
it's going to hurt one of us,
me. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
My feet, size 13 years, it's not going to work. And I can't see what you see. Beautiful red glasses. I got no glass. It doesn't work. Even earlier yesterday, I shared something about, the tragedy that occurred this week. I said, I can only see it from my viewpoint. I can't see it from yours.
Yeah.
And this is my viewpoint. And please give me a different viewpoint so
Yeah.
I can get a better context, right? That's all I can do. I define empathy as putting your arms around someone and walking with them.
Yeah. Wow. Like, I have chills. That is so massive. And it's crazy that we're meeting right now. I mean, I really have chills. I define empathy as being a passenger with them and saying, I got you and you got this. Same kind of thing. You define it by putting your arms around them. Like that is safety. That is, I got you. That is, you're going to be okay. You belong here. We're okay. Like that's massive. And I really think, I am going to say something that has a little bias to it. I think the more men we can have doing that, saying that, walking that walk, like, whoa, it would be a very different place.
This has been my belief. I think I reference this because Alex and I have talked about this several times off camera, different things. This is my belief. And I used to think Gary, the use of the F bombs drove people away. And then I got comfortable. That's just him being him.
It's just
Yeah, it's not, let me get in your face. It's just like, fuck, and I believe this. Gary will have as much impact on a generation of what true empathy looks like as anyone else.
Mhm.
My sons who are 16 and 17 and be an example of what that can look like. And for me, and as you said, it's kind of like I can have this, I'm bald, I'm somewhat fit, this hard exterior, and my intensity shows up, and then all of a sudden it's like, no,
No.
let me tell you about the stuff that I've had to go through. Let me show you my humanness and be that authentic, vulnerable self.
Yeah.
One of the facets that I've learned about my definition of putting your arms around someone and walking with them, it takes vulnerability. To
Mhm.
be a passenger, if they're driving, hey, you're being vulnerable.
Yeah.
But here's what I kind of want to transition and get into and help people understand that are listening is how you shared your conversation with Gary. Well,
Mhm.
that didn't happen day one in your relationship. That was years, right? The trust.
Years.
How did you develop that trust with him to be able to go and say, hey, dude, this isn't
Yeah.
working?
You know what? I think Gary trusted me before I trusted him.
Mm.
And I talk about this in the book. There was a moment in time, maybe 2 years in, where we were out at a gala and we're talking about something, and he could tell that I was 98% in, but not 100%.
Mm.
And he used that word. He goes, I know you're 98% here with me, but you're not all the way here. And then he said, you've never had a boss that you could trust. And I just started weeping because he was right. I never had a boss who trusted me and that I could trust. And what I aimed to do then, and I took maybe another 6 months, 8 months, was what is the 2% that I cannot, what's the missing? What is the missing 2%? Why can't I just like go all in? And I realized that if I don't continue showing up as me, and if I show up in a way where I'm yesing him or I'm just like
Yeah.
placating or those things, then I'm not going to be fully me because that's not me. I'm not a
Yeah.
yes, I'm not
Yeah.
a, and so
Yeah.
I bet, I don't know, maybe a year later, I went to him and I was like, I figured it out. He's like, I knew you did because I can feel it because someone can feel it.
Yeah.
So I had to go through my own, he put up the mirror here and I was like, yeah, right. Why don't I try, and go through that journey. And it's like, I've never looked back. And I say to people who are in similar boats as I am now, like, oh yeah, I'm all in. I really have blind faith. I am here. I've got the mission in mind and I will continue like walking the mission until there's a different mission. Till
Yeah.
or until I'm like, you know what? Someone else's turn to walk this mission.
Yeah. How much do you think our society needs that?
1000%. 1000%. I do feel like we have lost the ability to wrap our arms around people, strangers, people we don't know, people that we see as other, people that we judge. We're great at judging people, right? Or we're
Yeah.
just fantastic. And
Yeah.
I just feel like I feel like this is what I feel. You asked that question and I'm going to
Yeah.
reverse engineer it. If
Yeah.
you and I and everyone that has our similar DNA could go out there and hug every single person and let them know that we're here and we got it and they got it and they can do hard things and it's okay to be authentically vulnerable because it's a strength,
Yeah.
then I think we have a chance. So the more of us getting out there and not being afraid to talk to someone in the elevator and be like, "Oh, hey, how you
Yeah.
doing? Good morning to you. I
Yeah.
like your shoes. What are you listening to?" Like
Yeah.
whatever. I wonder actually in the farming and agricultural world, is it different than this corporate world?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
Because you can't survive alone. You can't. Yeah. I wrote about my newsletter today. Just released today. I just did a podcast with Liz Bohannon, and we talked about community. And this is as we're recording this, the end of the first full week of September. Right, we just had a tragedy occur, in my opinion, on Wednesday.
Yep.
Um, I was not home at the same point. My son was having hip surgery,
Mm,
my 17-year-old son, and I wasn't home.
mhm,
And yet I was speaking for an organization. They had their global leadership conference. And the person who brought me in, who's the head of people, I've known her for 25 years.
mhm.
There were people in the room that have known my family for probably 40 years. There were friends of mine that I've known for 30, 35 years, right? In a room of 400 people, global conference. And at the same point, there's a few people that I had shared, what was going on in my life with my son who, in a matter of 3 days was walking and then all of a sudden having hip surgery to remove a bone fragment, the
Mm,
kicker, right?
yeah,
And one of the things I wrote about is that community, whether it was agriculture or not, it didn't matter, would put my arms around me, and they did.
mm,
I On that trip, I got to go back to my home state of Ohio,
mhm,
and I got to visit the county fair that I
mm.
showed at. I haven't been there in 30 years. And I
Wow.
see friends and they hug me and they
Yeah,
say hi and so good to see you. And like, haven't seen some of these people in years. I have a gentleman who was probably a good 10 years older than me that knew me when I was maybe 7 or 8, who ends up, say, "Hey, Tyler, oh my goodness, you're here." Have a 25-minute conversation.
well,
Hasn't seen me in decades. And so when you talk about that, and I wrote about it, one of the things that I have learned, and when I do interact with people, is agriculture is so tough that there is no way possible to survive the industry on your own. At some point, somehow, you're going to need help from someone.
yeah,
That's just what it is. So that neighborly, hey,
yeah,
my cows are out. Hey, I
right.
need help.
I need
Drop
help.
everything and do it. Like,
Yeah,
that's not a, hey, this is what's going on. Man, I'm going to put my arms around you and pray for you. I'm just,
yeah,
that's not abnormal. That's just normal.
love that.
And so as you say that, yeah, that's perspective. It's different.
And by the way, it sounds like simpler than all of the, the stuff that's in our mind when we want to, like when we, I'm talking about the universal we, but like
Yeah.
it is very difficult for people to speak up or to say, "Hey, how you doing?" Or like, "There's a drought. Can you come help me?" Like I'm
Yeah.
sure that's when you have community. You all belong together,
Yeah.
which is just gorgeous. And that's what we want for other people. I want them to feel safe in this world. And I know, man, that is going to take a lot of prayer and it's going to take a lot of action. But I want people to know like there's nothing that they can't do. Like I'm not going to be you and you're not going to be me, right? I'm
No.
5'2.5" on a great day and you're 6 feet tall. But we have very different lived experience,
Yeah.
but we have very similar emotional emotions. We have, you know, you and I both feel empathy. Comes out in different ways, but we established that we have a very
Yeah.
similar view on it. You
Yeah.
and I both have trust. Okay. Probably comes out a little bit different, but there's not a whole big difference in the way we show up with this emotional intelligence. It's just who we are. You and I, for whatever the knocks that we've had,
Yeah.
we've gotten up. It's like I said to someone the other day, I said something like, I've gotten up more times than I've fallen down, and I've fallen down
Yeah.
a ton,
Yeah.
but I've gotten up and I survived every bad day. So did you.
Y- it- so how do you help people? Like you were talking earlier about the young men that come to you, or just individuals, right? I think it's probably
Yeah.
it. Well, I mean, I'm learning more and more. There is a massive difference between, I would say how females are addressing that compared to males in the workforce as I talk to people, and just the
Yeah.
dynamics are different. It is
They're
what it
different.
is. And I think, as having sons and having gone through that, and just like this pressure of being something that isn't really them, and so they're trying to, and it doesn't fit. And at the
Yeah.
same point, I hear that from so many women. It's like, well, you have to be like what the men are like. No, please don't. We
Please
don't
don't.
need more assholes.
Yeah.
We got too many.
Exactly. Exactly. And Tyler, I imagine you get this too. I get this quite a bit on LinkedIn sometimes, like, I want to be you. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Be you. Don't be me.
But
You don't want
that's
to be
such a
me.
journey. And so,
Yeah.
how are you talk about the, strength finders earlier, Clifton Strengths. How are you working to help the organization and the people you talk? Obviously, your book is a big part of it, but what are you guys doing granularly to help people, establish that?
Giving a shit, trusting first, making sure that people know more than their just team, that they get to know people. I'm looking at my notes from today. For my meetings, it's 1:38 my time. And I have had back to back meetings, and I have usually 15-minute
Okay.
one-on-ones. So I talked to this new person today, whatever her name is, and she's like, "So who should I meet?" And I was like, "I love that you came to me proactively, because I cannot wait to, tell you, like, introduce you to this guy and this person and this person. You have nothing in common with this person as far as I know, but I'm going to introduce you because he has a heart to help." And so I was like, okay, just write me up 2 or 3 sentences on you, throw in a hobby. And then you're going to see an email from me that says, hey, meet my new friend, Jill. I can't wait until, this is who she is.
Yeah.
She likes
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
surf and whatnot. Please find 15 minutes within the next 3 months to get to know her, go out for a coffee date or whatever. The other thing, this has been a really enormous day, I have to say. I'm so glad we're talking. There was a gentleman who I've had trust with. Let me just back up. Remember how Gary trusted me first?
Yeah.
I trust first. I really do. I really, really do. And I don't even think it's to the detriment of my life. I
No,
enjoy
to me, that is that's a healthier way to be.
that is a healthier way to be. So he gets on the phone. I don't even know where our notes are, and I don't even need the notes. And he's having a really hard time. He's battled some depression. Um, and he told me that he never thinks he does good enough. And I said to him, my friend, where is that voice coming from? Because I can guarantee that you were not born with that voice. And he told me, a really serious, sensitive story, courageous story, made him cry about his stepfather,
Okay. Yeah.
which he certainly didn't have to go into, but he did. And of course, I'm here, like, creating the space. It's
Yeah.
safe here.
Yeah.
And then I said to him, and I have the chills because this is what I get to do all day. I get to see humans.
Yeah.
I said, I want you to tell me the evidence right now that you do a good job. He's like, you mean in work or I don't care. Tell me where and when you do
Yeah.
a good job. And
Yeah.
so I literally wrote down all of the things he said. And I said, now, do you feel that? Are you sure? Did you do a good job there? He's like, yeah. He started to smile. Told me something else. I was like, okay. Did you really do a good job there? Yeah. Started to smile. I have a list of 5 things. I was like, I'm sending this to you later. And when we meet next, I need to see you need to write down your evidence. And this is the removal of shame. And
Mm.
this is in a,
Yeah.
in a,
Yeah.
in a pin drop, but it's no, no, no. That voice is lying to you. Your stepfather's voice, he told you that because he thought he was a failure. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
forget that. I know you're in therapy and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
What's the opposite of that voice? And the opposite is, what's the truth? And the truth is, there's tons of evidence to show you deserve to be at this company and you deserve to be in this job and you are doing great. Could you learn? Yeah, sure. We can all learn. We're all learners. There's nothing wrong with you. And that's like a big deal. That's like people need to hear that. And I think they really need to hear that. Well, they need to hear that from everyone. But like, there's no reason for me to say that to him. I don't then write Gary, oh, this person is having a hard day. I'm like, no, I want you to feel good. I want you to feel like you
Yeah.
can thrive here, not that you're going to die here,
Yeah.
you know, and die here because you don't feel like you're good
Yeah.
enough. That's what
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. 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 No, like it's the, I would say literal die inside because I'm continuing to, go back to the armor. And for me, what I understood is I put these walls around me.
Yeah,
I would rely on intensity to get me through,
sure,
or, being a jerk and being insensitive and
sure.
just not doing it, or you're isolating myself. Those are how I would react to those insecurities of, hey, what value do I have?
Yeah,
Like, am I actually, I have weird interest. I grew up on farm. I did cow stuff. I went to Cornell University with cow stuff. And it's like, and all of a sudden you get into the world and you're like, dude, you're weird. I'm like, no, I'm not. But the world is telling me that because that's what I'd heard for, 15 years. And then all of a sudden it becomes like, oh, well, as you said earlier, this is a strength, right?
this is a
Like you
strength.
ask about the community at one point, there was there's such a dichotomy in our society in regards to what's cool or not,
Yeah,
right? And it's always been that way. And what's cool or not. And what I hear and what I believe, and I think the opportunity to champion, what's cool? As you
right.
said earlier, giving a shit about people,
That's right.
to use your words, right?
That's right.
Those and that is like whether you're different or the same. Guess what, man? Why am I so excited about this conversation? Is to see a little bit deeper into a world of, oh wow, when you really give a rip about people, it's pretty amazing what you can accomplish,
It's
and pretty how fulfilling and exciting it is.
Oh my God, it fills me up. And this guy smiled. He smiled and like, thank you so much for the time. And like, he was with me. This wasn't wasted time. He got on the call depressed, feeling like he was failing, feeling like maybe I should go back on antidepressants, all of that, which, I don't, it's not my domain
Yeah,
to
yeah,
tell
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But then it was just like this one easy question that we can all ask people is like, where does that voice come from that you suck? I had the voice for many, many, many years. I can tell you exactly where it came from. But more exciting is I can tell you what I've done since I got rid of that voice, because that was a showstopper. And in the book, I call it a lie. It's a lie.
Yeah, yeah, it's a
It's
lie.
not the
Yeah,
truth.
yeah.
It's not the truth. What is the truth? Where's the evidence for that I am not dumb? That's what I thought I was for years and years and years and years because, school, dyslexia, all kinds of stuff. No, I just learned differently. I see the world a little bit differently.
When you think about, as you get to interact with people outside of Vayner, right? Vayner, as you get to now with your, championing the cause with your book and everything else, and people are like, yeah, I don't know if we can do that here.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I get that all the time. I mean, of course I do. I don't know if they're naysayers or they just don't see the possibility that I see, or the yes and. Okay, I would love this actually. Tyler, if someone said to me, "Okay, I get it. Be yourself at work. I can see that. I can see that. Yes. And there are people that really struggle with that." Sure. Well, let's talk about the people that really struggle with that. And let's talk about why. What is the organization doing or not doing to help them feel like they belong? Right? Without even getting into their psychology. Why? I mean, why? Why? And there's a lot of whys, but I think that those whys are all fixable. Those whys are like it's sand. They don't mean anything. They
Mm,
don't mean anything. But that's the work that we need to do in our communities, whether or not it's your church, your synagogue, your soccer team, your work, your farm. We need to help people see the good in people and stop
yeah,
judging people so much.
yeah.
Because and I know when they're judging someone so much, what are they doing to themselves?
Oh, I
Oof.
mean,
Oof.
I have a piece in my book that I'm working on. It's, would you work for the person that tells you what you tell yourself?
Oh, yeah. I mean, thank you. Would you?
I mean, that's it's funny when you go through those periods, like you mentioned that gentleman, it's like, if he's telling himself, right, that depression is because he's telling himself lies, like you said, and all those things. You're like, do I want to go to
Right.
work and work for that person? But
Mm,
you are.
but you are. You are. And so are 20 other people when they come and interface with you. They're working for that person. Right. And that's what I think you said in the beginning, which is like sometimes we need to see our reflection and see, do I like what I see or do I don't? And only you or myself can change our own behavior, can change our own outlook, can change
Yeah.
our own
Yeah.
shape if we want
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
No one else can do that. But we need coaches and people along the line who want to put our arms around us to
Yeah.
say, where does that come
Yeah.
from? Because
Yeah.
that's not true.
Yeah.
Right. And take action on what is true. Like if I would have had that conversation with that guy and left him with that's not true, okay, I think we would have scratched the surface. He would not have had that opening of like, no, actually, I am crushing here at work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
even work with the guy. Like, I don't even know if he's crushing or not. I assume he is. He told me he is.
I mean,
That's
yeah.
the that's
Yeah.
that belief in humans that we need. That's that belief in humans and being okay with people not looking like us, not talking like us, not praying to the same God.
And making stories up that, then perpetuate those lies, right?
Yep,
And feeling solace there. And, oh, okay, that's what I'm going to build a foundation on, as opposed to, being authentically vulnerable. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I am who I am.
I am
Now,
who I am.
one of the things you mentioned earlier is kind of like, and I love this epitome. It's like, we're either a zebra, a cheetah. I use it sometimes. There was an analogy of, it's like, if you look at, like, I have a desk, you have wood in your in your
Yeah,
room there, and that wood was originally like the tree that you can see in the background.
yep,
But you know what?
exactly.
That wood was harvested, it was milled. Is it any different when it becomes your cabinet, your desk? No, it's still the same wood. But
Still
all of a
wood.
sudden, well, you know what we did is we made it, the beauty of it, come out through
Yeah,
the process and through the
yeah,
growth. Like what you said earlier is, as I had to learn how to be myself, then all of a sudden those rough edges that I have started to get sanded down. Now,
yeah.
when things are tough, can my rough edges come out? Yeah. And I just have to own them. Hey,
That's
I'm sorry. Grab me some sandpaper. Let me smooth myself off. I didn't mean it. Which I imagine, what you've done, a lot of your work within Vayner has been bringing that heart, that sandpaper to say, hey, you're good. Like,
yeah.
stop bristling, that it's not helping anymore.
Yeah. So I exactly like, hey, you are exactly where you need to be. You're doing great or whatever. Yes, maybe you need to get better at this skill and this skill. Let me connect you with someone who can walk you through an Excel tablet real quickly. And the other thing I do, and this is the part that people don't know, I would say, is I'm also candorous. I'm also honest. And
Mhm.
honest would look like this. And I'm going to do it with you,
Yeah,
but you in the past.
sure.
Tyler, you're awesome. Like you're a giant. You bring people into your sphere and you grow them into phenomenal, phenomenal leaders. Like I can tell you've been around for 3 years. That's really great. I mean, awesome. But I got to tell you what your vulnerability is here. Your vulnerability is that you still don't trust the organization. You don't trust us. You trust you, but you don't trust us. That's a vulnerability. So let's talk about that. Why? So what I did there was with
Yeah,
love
yeah,
and truth. Tyler, you're a great leader, all of that stuff. That is just like real truth. And I'm kind and I'm loving. And through that love, I can still say to you, and your vulnerability is this. And
yeah,
I'm telling you that because I've watched you, I've heard, I've seen the feedback forms. So what are we going to do about that?
yeah.
And that's like, gosh, I would have loved, I mean, Gary does that for me,
I,
you know.
I would have loved that
Yeah.
25, 30 years ago,
Yeah.
when I started my career, if somebody would have said that, instead of, me having to go through the tough, the mirror shattering, me having to figure it out on my own.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that journey because
Of
it
course you are.
created a way like for you to like, I've had to do this myself. So yeah, I can help others do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Tyler, this goes back to empathy. And I really believe this. For those of us that have had to do a lot on our own and pick ourselves up by our bootstraps or our hair, our suspenders, I really believe that that is one way to understand that other people are suffering and that other people need when we're back on our footing and we've learned our lessons and we come out again of that chrysalis and we're ready to see the world and the world to see us as we are, then I think we need to go share that with another person who we see as hiding, who we see as just in a place of darkness. Not, and I'm not saying, well, actually, I don't even need to say this because we both see empathy the same way. I was just going to say, not taking their stuff on. No,
Yeah.
a
No,
hug
no,
is
no.
not taking their stuff on.
I,
Sitting
I, I
passenger is not taking their
yeah.
stuff on.
I can walk through it with you, but I can't take it from you because I'll
Exactly.
never see the way you see it.
Exactly.
I'll never know
Exactly.
the challenges you dealt with,
Yeah.
and the same as you could never understand what I've dealt with. But you know what? I can come alongside you. Oh, okay, let's do this
Yeah.
together.
Right. And so
Um,
that was the conversation with my friend here today
yeah,
when I was like, where does that come from?
yeah,
And he told me about a stepfather. Well, I've never had a stepfather and I've never been, I don't have a parent that was in the military or a
yeah,
big drinker. And so, like, I could imagine what that might
yeah,
have been like. But
yeah,
it doesn't even imagine if I could imagine, it doesn't even matter if I imagined it, no matter what, he needed a hug,
yeah.
no matter
Just say, hey,
what.
yeah.
That's
Um,
what he,
for I'm looking for a little bit of as your experience and guidance here, but I think it will help so many, and it's something that I'm working through. Right? It's this idea of we've established, and you're kind of like maybe you're in that role, or maybe what you have done for Gary at times is to kind of like, hey, dude, this isn't working, right? Or for somebody that is listening and they're like, well, I'd love to be able to be myself at work. Well, my boss is an ass. And
yeah,
their insecurities and all of those things that they pour on everyone. How do I, have that conversation? Like if you're working with someone and you're saying, hey, this is the limitation, I can see it. What are we going to do about it? For someone that maybe in their organization and they're like, I like it here. We do good work. There are good people here. I get the sense that my boss is a good person, but man, their insecurities, their lack of heart, their lack of empathy is really making it difficult. What do you do to encourage them?
a couple things. One, if you have the confidence and the strength to go and have that conversation outside of work with that person,
Mm,
I highly respect that, and I would value that. That takes a lot of courage, but that is when you go outside of work. You're not your title. It evens the playing field. You get to talk to the person as a human being, and then you say, every time you kind of like look over my shoulder at my work, it really makes me feel like inadequate. Can we talk about why
yeah,
you're doing that? She might not even know they're doing it. So one,
exactly.
if you have the strength within you and the courage and know that you're going to enter into that conversation with love, I would say absolutely go do it. If not, you need to get support. And so you either need to find someone like, look, I didn't always have the best title in the world, chief heart officer, but I was still that person that had a heart to help. So
Yeah,
you'd find someone like me, or you'd
yeah,
go to HR.
yeah,
You go above the guy. You have to
yeah,
guy or gal, I'm sorry. You
yeah.
you have to do something. Otherwise, what will happen is you will go like this, shrink, quit, and the
And
company's
then it continues to happen to everyone else. There's never a
not only
break.
that, you haven't grown.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah,
love
it
that.
continues to happen to everyone else, but also, like, you didn't just eat some spinach, you just left.
Yeah.
That's easy
You,
to leave.
you checked out.
It's harder to
Yeah.
say. You check out, and there's a lot of us that I did that too. I had a boss that one of the main reasons I chose to lead the way I do is because I had a boss who was just like, he came behind me one day and he goes, everyone's replaceable. I was like, why in the heck why does someone want to? I was 26. Why do you want to put the fear of God into me like that?
I mean,
I'm
what
a
I
heart.
what I come back to, and it's interesting, is again reflect on Gary and that there's people that, try to impress about, look, big, strong, I work so much, this, that. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, just you're insecure, just stop it. And, that's where for me, and my big piece was in what I worked through is like the insecurity and just admitting, yeah, and own it and how
Yeah.
it shows up.
Yeah.
In, that empathy when I see that, difficult boss and I can see it, I'm like, oh, dude, I just want to, it doesn't have to be that hard. Kind of like you did with the guy that came to you. It's like my yearn and desire is to help those leaders because I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you're being a jackass because of all of the things that you're trying to protect yourself against. Because, and coming back to trust, there's this, hey, you have to trust us. And I go back to that boss is like, you have to trust yourself and trust others,
Yeah.
or they'll never trust you.
Yeah. That's it. It's a self-awareness piece. So can you trust yourself? And there's some days when you might not be able to. And there's some days I want you to look in the mirror and go, I got this.
Yeah.
I got this. I used to, this is going to crazy even segue here, but I lived in San Francisco for a very long time. And then I got transferred to London.
Hmm.
But I was in a relationship in San Francisco that I thought we could keep long distance. And so I would go back every now and then. It'd be like a honeymoon, right? Because you're
Yeah.
back for 3 days,
Yeah.
2 days.
Yeah.
And then I'd have to get on this 13-hour flight back to London. And I would cry and cry and cry because my heart hurt. And I would go into the bathroom of the airplane and I would say to myself, my eyes just red. And I would look in that bathroom and I'd say, Claude, you got this. You got this. You can do this. And just like that, you find little things I wanted
Yeah.
to remind myself, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can do this. And I've chosen to put myself in this position too. So
Yeah.
remind yourself of that.
Yeah.
And that's trust. That builds trust.
Well,
I
and
didn't
I
down.
to me it comes down to trust, and it's like that heart leads to trust. And it's like, here's the thing about trust: you can view it as everyone's got to build trust, and maybe someday they'll have trust. To me, that's a lonely,
Yeah,
horrible world to live in.
I know.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something that is maybe gonna knock down trust. Did I do it intentionally? I don't think I do things to knock down trust intentionally. I don't think people do. I think people
Right.
accidentally do it, and so to flip those balances, like, hey, it's kind of like, do you want to be optimistic, pessimistic? I'm realist, right? Whatever. But it is easier in my view to have a heart for people when I'm going to trust you, but I also know there's going to be things that happen, and then we'll work through that, as opposed to I'm sitting here waiting, waiting,
Oh my
waiting,
gosh. Thank you.
waiting, waiting.
Yeah.
Again, it's miserable.
Don't be a waiter.
No.
Don't be a waiter. Also, when you're a waiter, you are reactive. You are not proactive about
Mm,
anything. You are waiting. You're convinced someone's going to fail you or whatever, and
yep.
then you're going to pounce on them.
Yep.
Like,
Because
why?
to me, that is all a evidence of your own insecurities, your own, I'm not sure who I am. So I'm not going to let you impress upon me what I don't know I am. So I'm going to hold you afar, because then that won't confront what I don't know
Yeah,
about myself.
you're
I mean, that's
so
a word salad, but
you're s-
um,
you're so spot on.
Claude, as I know we're getting to the end of our time, hey, where can people learn more about your book that's coming out, everything you do?
Thank you. Well, I don't want this to end first and foremost, so I
Me
hope we can
neither.
be BFFs.
Please,
That's the first
please.
thing. Second all, my book comes out October 28th of this year, and you can go to claudesilver.com to find out everything you want, or you can also go to beyourselfbook.com and you can check out the book. You can download a sample chapter. You can find me on LinkedIn, write me. I write everyone back. Might take me a while, but like I'm here.
Yeah,
I want to
I
be
love
here.
it. I love it. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
everyone watching on YouTube. If you are, hit the subscribe button as well as the bell to get notified whenever we drop new content. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, if you could rate and review this episode, I would appreciate it, so more people can find impactful, heartful leaders like Claude. Till next time, choose to lead with impact.